Welcome to the Having It All podcast, the show about what it takes to live an abundant, loving life. My name is Matthew Bivens, and each week I'm helping you get out of your head so that you can truly have it all. Let's do it.
What's going on, all you fine people out there? Matthew Bivens here, and welcome to another episode of the Having It All podcast. I am doing fantastic this morning, and I hope you all are as well. I'm staring out my window right now here just north of Atlanta, and we had an amazing, beautiful snowstorm over the weekend. And if you know anything about Atlanta, you know that this whole city freaks out even at the threat of snow. A few years ago, literally the whole city shut down. It was pandemonium. It was wild at just a little teeny sprinkling. Well, this past weekend, we got, at least in my neighborhood, 8 inches. 8 inches of snow. Now, if you live anywhere where you get regular snow, you're thinking, 8 inches, that's nothing. But come on now, give us some credit. This is like incredible. And so right out my window right now, just this beautiful white like landscape in front of me, and I'm loving it. I'm energized. I'm fueled. And today's episode is going to be an awesome one because we're talking about accountability. Accountability, your ability to count on yourself. And this is so important when it comes to making strides in your life, making gains, when it comes to growing, healing, transforming, all of those things. You really, truly need accountability. Now, in this episode, I'm not going to list off a bunch of benefits of accountability. I'm not going to talk about all those great things because you can simply Google them and you can get a bunch of, great scientific data and studies about why you need accountability. What I want to do, what I'm more interested in doing, is sharing some personal examples from my life of the things I've been able to create and experience due to the very intentional accountability measures I've put into my life. And then, most importantly, I believe, what has happened recently as I've removed those accountability measures. Because some of them are gone. Some of those accountability measures are gone, and the impact has been quite real. So I'm going to share those things. I'm going to talk about what I've created, the impact now that the things are gone. And at the very end of this episode, I'm going to announce and share with you something very cool that will help you with your accountability. You got to stick to the end because it's pretty awesome. I made it just for you guys, and you'll see why. Before I jump into the episode, I want to share a little bit of gratitude. I've been receiving a lot of amazing emails and shout outs from listeners and reviews, and I just want to share the love, and I want to acknowledge a few people. So first, I want to acknowledge Kyla. Kyla reached out to me, and she sent me my first ever video message. It was so awesome. She recorded herself, wanted to send a little podcast love, and I absolutely loved receiving that and watching it. And Kyla, I'm excited to hop on the mic with you sometime in the future and have a really powerful conversation. So thank you for the message. Also want to thank Carlos. Carlos, I appreciate the podcast topic suggestions, and I'm definitely going to record at least one episode, maybe multiple, but at least one based off of your suggestions. So thanks so much, Carlos. And finally, I want to thank a recent iTunes reviewer. I want to throw some thanks over to Rockhead Don, who left a awesome iTunes review for the show. And you rock, Rockhead. I appreciate it. And if any of you want to reach out to me, if you want to send some love, you want to give some suggestions, if you just want to say hey, you can reach me. My email address is mattcbivens@gmail.com, Matt with 2 T's. And if you want to leave a review on iTunes, that would be beautiful as well. Hop on over there, do that, and it just helps the show be a little bit more visible on the iTunes charts. So let's get into some accountability talk. Why don't we? So I have been intentional about instilling accountability measures into my life for at least the past 5 years. I probably had some things in my life before that, but I'm talking intentional. So these were things that I did on purpose, and I put them in my life on purpose because I knew, or at least believed in, the power of accountability. And so I can break them down into two different categories. The first is people. I've had a number of people who've helped to hold me accountable to achieving certain goals, to showing up powerfully in my life, and to being who I said I wanted to be via my mission statement, my personal mission statement. And so these individuals have been insanely instrumental in me, in moving me forward and helping me grow and heal. I've also had groups of people that have helped to propel me forward. And I've talked about them a number of times on this show. And the accountability group that I was a part of for 3 years, it wrapped up this spring. The group is called a COI, Circle of Influence. And it is, I really attribute so much of what I've learned, how I've grown as an individual, how I've been able to step into some terrifying situations and come out like on fire on the other side of them, feeling like a superhero. I attribute that to my accountability group, my COI group. And then finally, community on a bigger level, a larger group of people, a community has helped to hold me accountable to healthy habits. And I'm teasing it because I'm going to talk about that at the end, like I said earlier. So that's on the people column. And then on the tools column, I've used a number of accountability tools that have really helped me stay sharp with my game. And the tool that I've been using for 5 years is called the Your Day Balance Game app. And I've been with this particular piece of technology as it's gone from a spreadsheet on a computer to a very rudimentary web program to a slightly better web program to now a full-fledged Android app. And all along the way, I've used this tool to log and track my habits. I've created what's called a balance chart. So I have all these different habits across these 7 building blocks, and the building blocks spell out the word balance, BALANCE. B stands for breath, A stands for aqua, L, lengthening, A, anaerobic, N, nutrition, C, cleanse, E, energize. And I have habits that have been customized to me and to my goals across all of those 7 building blocks. And the Your Day Balance Game app just helps me to stick with them, hit those habits every day, log them every week. I watch my points go up. I watch my personal integrity. I feel my integrity going up as I do the things that I say I'm going to do. So those are the 2 big categories of accountability measures that I have put into my life. And so now, these are the things that I've been able to create. I actually wrote them down on a piece of paper. Because of the accountability people, the individuals, the groups, and the community, and because of the accountability tools, I've been able to achieve and accomplish some really amazing things over the past just a couple of years. The first, and probably one of the coolest, is that I wrote a book. I wrote a freaking book. And that book was accomplished over the course of 1 year. And my business partner, who really, more than that, he was my accountability partner. He and I would meet every single Saturday for 2 hours to work on this book, no matter what. Every Saturday for 1 year, we met, we worked on this book, we cranked this thing out, and it lives on Amazon now. And I think that is freaking cool. And that is absolutely the result of instilling accountability in my life in the form of an accountability partner. Also, thanks to my accountability measures, I've been able to eliminate most of my debt. I had student loan debt from a graduate degree and a master's degree. I had credit card debt from the times when I was very irresponsible with my credit card and racked up $10,000 worth of credit card debt. I also had some other small debts, medical stuff from way back in the day when I injured my knee playing basketball. And I just had all this debt hanging out. And due to my accountability group, the COI, they really helped Sarah and I both stick to just steadily chopping down those debts. This podcast itself is also a result of accountability because, again, my accountability group really helped me with the follow through on this idea. So I was germinating this idea where I'm like, you know what? So I had a marketing podcast, and about 13 or 14 episodes in, I just didn't feel moved by the content, by the topic, the subject matter. And so I started to float this idea around in my accountability group of doing something else. And they kept me to it. They would check in on me. What's the progress? What are you working on? What ideas have you come up with? And they really helped usher me and move me forward, which ended up in me launching the show about a year and a half ago. Another result of accountability is I've reached the pinnacle of my health so far. I've never felt healthier. And I'll get into this a little bit. This year, I should say, has been the year that I felt the fittest, the most strong, the most conditioned, and the overall healthiest. Another result of accountability is I've stepped into some of my most fearful situations when I've thought about, especially particularly around relationships, because I've had, for a number of years, dependency and codependency has been something I've really worked on, because I realized back in college and into my mid-20s, I had created these very, very unhealthy ideas around what a healthy relationship looked like. And one of my ideas was essentially dependency, emotional dependency. I'd convinced myself that that was a trademark of a healthy relationship. Don't even ask me where I got that idea from. But thanks to these accountability measures, these folks and these people in my life really have lit a fire under my butt, honestly, to step into situations and confront some of those limiting beliefs and to confront those paradigms. And the result has been just magic, just honestly transformation in terms of my boldness and my courage and my love and my capacity to give and receive love. And that has been insane. And finally, the last result of accountability in my life has been to be able to grow my business, revenue, money, profits, being able to create a business where I can work from home, where I can be home with my daughter, where I can set my own schedule, where I can rely on myself to be able to generate the income that I need to live the lifestyle that I want. That has come as a direct result of having very specific accountability measures in my life. So I just wanted to drop a few of those things because accountability has been so instrumental in me being and becoming the person that I am today. So all of that, everything I just said, is to set up this next part of this conversation, which is over the past 6 months, I will say consciously and subconsciously pulled out my accountability measures. I've taken them away. I have let them go. And some very, very fascinating things happened as a result. And I'm creating a bit of vulnerability right now, sharing this stuff with you because I just spent the last 10 minutes hyping up the importance of accountability. And here I am telling you that I have removed accountability from my life in a couple of areas. And I have. That's me just owning it and being honest with it. And so I'm going to share with you right now what I did and honestly what has resulted from it. And I'm happy to report that I'm back on the accountability upswing, but there were a number of months from this summer until just, a couple months ago where I started to really feel and see the decline in a number of areas. Because I have this belief that the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So as I took away the accountability, I started to not show up as powerfully in my life. I started to play smaller. And so playing smaller in my personal life meant playing smaller in my business, meant playing smaller in my health. And everything just started to slowly go down. So let me not speak in generalities. Let me jump into some concrete examples. The very first accountability thing that I removed from my life was my small accountability group, my COI, my circle of influence. After being in that group for 3 years, we officially wrapped our chapter. We completed our chapter in the spring of 2017. So Right now it's December 2017. Let's say it wrapped up in, April. So it's been about 8 months of me not being in a COI. And in my COI, we would have weekly meetings, and we'd meet for probably about 4 to 5 hours every week. And we would talk about how we can show up powerfully for ourselves and for other people, how we can be the people who we say we want to be, how we can live into our personal mission statements. And a huge component of that group was holding each other accountable, giving each other feedback. That feedback that's hard to hear and oftentimes hard to give, but we do it because we love one another. So after our group ended in April, Sarah and I had an opportunity to step right into another group. There was another chapter that was still going, and so we had the opportunity just to jump, end one and jump right into another. But we had been doing it for 3 years, and so we wanted a little bit of a break. And we decided not to. I guess we wanted a break from accountability. We wanted to be able to, do what we wanted without having somebody call us out on it. Let's be honest. That's what it was. We wanted to be able to take liberties on different things. We wanted to loosen the slack a little bit. And so we did. And it's been 8 months now, and right now, there are no new opportunities for us to join another COI accountability group. If we wanted to get into one right now, we'd have to create it ourselves. So now we're looking at taking on that added responsibility. However, because this whole podcast topic is about the result of, the impact of accountability, having it or not having it, Sarah and I right now are very heavily leaning towards creating a new COI, small accountability group, here with our community in Atlanta. And so let me read off to you a couple of the results that I experienced of eliminating COI from my life for 8 months. The first one is that I don't feel as sharp with the personal development conversations, with the personal empowerment conversations, with conscious conversations in general. I just don't feel as sharp. And that's because I no longer, for the past 8 months, haven't had that practice field, that arena, that training ground of sitting in a 4-hour, 5-hour meeting and just talking about these things with other people, talking about habits, talking about how to show up powerfully for ourselves, talking about limiting beliefs. There was really an educational component to me that this group gave me, and a chance for me to sharpen my saw every week. And just being around these people, it inspired me to do some reading in my off time, pick up a book like Power versus Force and, read about different things so that I could show up each week with some new material or some new ideas or really participate in the conversations. And because we don't have that anymore, I just don't feel as sharp. Another thing that's come as a result is I'm not as productive. And it's taken maybe 7 months, 8 months, this whole period that I've been off, to really ramp up my productivity again, because each week in my COI, we would set 3 goals for ourselves. 3 small goals we wanted to accomplish. 1 goal for self, 1 goal for others, and 1 goal for life. So a self goal might be something like go for a 4-mile run. An others goal might be invite my mom out for a mother-son date. And a life goal might be send out the new contract to the new client, right? And so it just helps us to continue the momentum throughout the week by checking off small little tasks on our list and getting those small wins, because small wins turn into medium wins, and medium wins turn into big wins, and big wins turn into life-changing wins. And so without the COI every week where we'd set those goals, Sarah and I just weren't doing it. I want to say we did it for maybe 2 weeks after our COI wrapped, but we didn't continue that practice. And so what happened is the momentum sort of slowed, and we weren't completing those tasks and those items with the same regularity that we were when we were inside the group. And the final result of eliminating a COI that I really felt, like I felt this in my spirit, it was this feeling of stagnation. it was sort of flirting with complacency. And I couldn't put my finger on it for a while. And it just felt like this unease within me. It felt like a little bit more weight in my life. It felt like a little bit more anxiety. It felt like just having slightly less patience, or it felt like that monkey mind. My mind constantly focusing on lack and scarcity, and constantly focusing on, the gaps that I have, and just all these things were happening as a result of me not constantly moving forward in the game of healing and self-growth. And when you aren't moving forward and you stop, you realize that everything else around you continues to move forward. So I was just watching other people continue to grow, other people continue to heal. I was listening and hearing and receiving reports on other powerful conversations that were happening that I wasn't a part of. And so my mind starts going, and I start to feel a bit anxious, and I just started to feel stagnant. I really, really don't like it and haven't liked it. And it wasn't until thinking about it over the past maybe 1 or 2 months that I started to really understand what that was. And so those are the results of eliminating the accountability people from my life, the groups. I'm going to tell you now about the result of eliminating my accountability tool from my life. So like I was saying earlier, the tool that I use is the Your Day Balance Game app. And over the past few years, this app has continued to get more and more sophisticated. It's continued to get upgrades. And the biggest and most recent upgrade was going from a website platform to an actual mobile app. And I have been a big part of making that happen. Along with being a podcaster and all the, fun marketing and coaching podcast stuff that I do, I'm also the director of marketing for this brand, Your Day Balance Game. And I've been associated with this brand for 5 years. And so I've watched all of these really cool things happening with this Your Day Balance Game app, this balance chart app. And so, we've been working on developing this mobile app and getting from the website platform to the actual mobile app. And we pulled the trigger in October of this year. And just like with any sort of technology, when you make a big transition like that, when you make a huge jump from, 3.0 to 4.0, because that's really what it was for us. It was version 3.0 to version 4.0. Some stuff happens. And we had a couple of users whose accounts didn't really work at first, or, things might just kind of be a little wonky. But for whatever reason, my account seemed to receive a lot of the glitches. And because I was also helping to move this whole thing forward, and I was working on, beta testing, and I was leading these small test groups, I didn't really pay attention to my particular app not working right. So my balance chart wasn't working right. The tool that I had been using for the past almost 5 years to help keep me accountable with my habits day in and day out and every week, it was no longer working. And I think it's a result of removing some of the other accountability measures from my life, that when this one started to glitch, you would think that my first response would be, I got to get this fixed immediately. Let's halt everything because I need this in my life. This has been a huge mechanism of health for me. Let's get this fixed. You would think that would be my response, but it wasn't. I kind of saw it as a vacation. Oh, well, my balance chart's not working, so I don't need to go on my 4-mile run because I can't even log my habits. So I won't go on my 4-mile run. You do that 1 week. 1 week turns to 2 weeks. 2 weeks turns to 3 weeks. And then, oh, look at this. I'm creating some pains in my body. I haven't been doing all these physical habits. I haven't been eating the same way. I haven't been exercising the same way. I haven't been meditating. I haven't been doing all of the things that I normally do. And what do you know? I have a shoulder injury now. And what do you know? I'm getting sick more often. And so I just used all of these things as an excuse to continue to not get my balance chart fixed. And that went on for 5 weeks. 5 weeks. And so because I didn't have my balance chart app for 5 weeks, because I didn't stop everything and make sure that it got fixed, or just continue doing the habits anyway. It's not like I didn't know them. I'd been doing them for so long, I could continue them. But I chose to let this be an excuse and a reason for me to take a vacation. Because I did that, the following things happened. The first is I lost strength. I lost endurance. I lost flexibility. The second was that I got sick 3 times. 3 times in 3 months. For me, that's ridiculous. I get sick maybe once a year, maybe once every 18 months, and it's a 2-3 day cold and it's gone. But this year, it's been 3 times, and each one of those has been at least 1 week. That's freaking unheard of for me. I felt my energy not be as high. I felt been more tired throughout the day. And normally my energy peaks and I'm like on top of the world, but now my energy peaks and I'm like, meh. And then finally, really the one that's been most tangible for me is that on my 90-day fitness assessment, which I take every 90 days, I've been doing it for 5 years. I took mine about 2 weeks ago and I dropped 9 points. I dropped 9 points. I've never dropped more than 2 points over the whole 5 years I've taken them. And I dropped 9 points. And this fitness assessment measures my body composition, my strength, my endurance, and my flexibility. And so I wasn't using my balance chart. I wasn't completing the lifestyle habits that I have had in my life, that have been a part of my life for so long. And as a result, boom, there you go. You see it. You see what happens. So this was a different type of conversation because, again, I'm not here to say you got to be accountable because do this and that and everything is going to work great and this is what the research says and this is what some person who studied it said. I'm telling you what I've personally experienced because accountability for me has been huge. It's been the biggest. I really think I could say the people, the groups, and the tools that I have used to hold me accountable to being the greatest version of myself that I can be, to hold me accountable to playing big, to being bold, to living a life of health and healing and growth. Those people and those tools have been the biggest reason why I've seen such amazing shifts in my life over the past number of years. And so as I periodically remove them from my life, it is no surprise that things started to go down. And so if that isn't a case for why accountability is so important and why if you currently don't have people or tools or mechanisms holding you accountable, I highly recommend that you do. If that's not a case for it, then I don't know what is. And so we are now at the end of this episode, and as I promised, I wanted to share with you a very cool accountability measure that I created for you. This is within the Your Day Balance Game app. Within the app, we have the ability to create teams. And teams, just like I've been talking about, are groups of people, and they allow us to support one another, to motivate one another, to inspire one another, and to hold one another accountable. And so I've created a team within the Your Day Balance Game app called the Having It All Stars. Yep, Having It All Stars. And anybody can join my team. Now, there are 2 things that you need to know in order to be able to join my team. The first is that you need to be on the app. And you need to be a player on the app. When you download the app, you have the option of becoming a watcher or a player. A watcher can create a profile and they can watch people. And what watching people does is it allows you to see the healthy habits that folks who you are inspired by, that they do every day. So it allows you to see the things they do in breath and aqua and lengthening and anaerobic and so on and so forth. What being a player does is allows you to actually create your balance chart and create those habits that you want to accomplish each day and each week. In order to be in my group, the one parameter that I've put in here is that you have to have some points going for you. So you have to actually have the balance chart, which means you need to be a player. All right? Other than that, anybody can join. So here's where you go to get the app. This is an app that is for Android and iPhone. If you're using it on iPhone, then you're going to use the web app version, but both of them can be downloaded from this URL I'm about to give you, theydbg.com. www.theydbg.com. YDBG stands for Your Day Balance Game. theydbg.com. You can download it on Android. You can sign up for the web version for iOS. And once you get it, go in there and click on the Discover tab, and you're going to be able to find me, Matthew Bivens. I'm hanging out in there. Once you do that, shoot me a message. Say, hey, I'm here from the Having It All podcast. I listened to the episode on accountability. I want to join the team. And you and I will get into a nice little dialogue, and I'll get you rolling on being a part of the team. And we together can hold one another to playing big in our lives, to playing for healing, playing for health, playing for growth, playing for transformation. Because accountability has been so freaking enormous in my life in all of those areas, in being the person I am today, in writing my book, in eliminating my debt, in building up my business. And so I want to be able to do the same for you. I want to be able to help you just be awesome. Be a more awesome version of yourself and have a greater life experience. Because we're all playing for that abundant, loving life, aren't we? So check it out, theydbg.com. Shoot me an email if you have any questions, mattcbivens@gmail.com. And with that, my name is Matthew Bivens, and here is to you having it all.